Welcome. NOAA has just issued its October of 2023 climate report, and this video is a summary of that report, plus a few extra things that I've added. First, a quick summary of what we've been seeing. It was the hottest October on record, both for land and oceans, set new highs. The mid-troposphere had its hottest October on record. Global sea ice extent was the smallest on record. El Niño is established and likely to last through May of 2024. CO2 levels reach a new high for October. Every month now it sets a new high. First, let's see how the temperature was distributed between the various continents. North America had its second hottest October on record. South America is hottest. Europe, second hottest. Africa, second hottest. Asia, hottest. And Oceania, 15th hottest. Greenland was its 5th hottest, and Antarctica was its 6th coolest. And all the oceans together had their hottest October on record. That's over a 175-year period. As has been the case for the last several months, the new record was a significant step above the previous one, which was in 2016. We jumped by over 0.2 degrees centigrade in that time. Let's take a look at the percentiles map. This map shows where there are record highs and record lows. Record lows are indicated by a dark blue, and you can see there are a few pixels down in Antarctica that are setting record cold. And record highs are indicated by dark red, which is much more common. We can see that South America and Central America, Southern Europe, parts of Africa and parts of Asia are all setting new highs. But the striking thing here is the big area of blue. That's much cooler than average and record cold for Antarctica. Antarctica has been setting records for high temperatures all the way through its winter. Now it's coming to summer, it seems to be getting colder, which is really strange. We often get enamored with ground temperatures, but there's the rest of the atmosphere. We can take a look at different layers of the atmosphere. This is the lower troposphere, which is an average altitude of about 4 kilometers. So this is much colder than the surface temperatures. And you can see even so, there's an effect of global warming here. There's a general upward trend over time. And the last few months have been extremely warm compared with previous. We've set 2 new highs in consecutive months. And the total amount of warming that we've seen is of the order of 1.4 degrees centigrade over these years. Now note that the zero here is set by the average between 1991 and 2020. This is something that often confuses people from the point of view that those averages include a great deal of global warming. So this whole graph would be moving up considerably from where it is now if we took the baseline temperatures from the 1970s and 1980s. We could take a look at the picture for global sea ice, and once again it's a downward trend, and we've set a new record low for this month. That's down 0.78 million square kilometers from the average. And that, of course, that's made up of 2 hemispheres. The northern hemisphere, that's still got a downward trend overall, though it's not set a new record low. And the southern hemisphere has indeed set a very large and new record low, but the average is not changing a great deal because the previous measurements are dominating the signal at the moment. This used to be a slightly positive slope that we see. Now we're seeing it as neutral slope, and if this continues in this way, we'll start getting a negative slope. As I mentioned, El Niño is continuing. You can see the area of hot water off the western coast of South America stretching almost all the way across to Australia. That is El Niño, and it's still quite strong. The probability forecast for El Niño for the coming months, you can see currently we have at least 6 or 7 more months of a strong El Niño. Then towards May, June or July, we start getting the possibility of going back into some neutral conditions, and even the probability of a La Nina is beginning to rise by the time you get to July. So this is analysis I have done for the measurement of global temperatures, taking the effect of El Nino and La Nina out. So what I've done is I looked at the Southern Oscillation Index, which at the moment is about 1.3, and found all previous times when it was in the range from minus 1.2 to minus 1.4, and plotted that temperature from that month along this curve here. And you can see not only is the temperature increasing, it's increasing by about 0.2 degrees centigrade per decade, very similar to the surface temperatures. And the interesting thing is, if you do this for all the different values of SOI, you get pretty much the same slope. It's just they're just offset from one another. When you have a La Nina, when you have an El Nino, the average temperatures are much higher, but the slope is still about 0.2. If you have La Nina, again, the temperatures are a lot lower than this curve, but the slope is about the same. Once again, CO2 levels have set a new high for the month of October, and with a general increase of about 3.08 parts per million over the last year. That's a little bit higher than previous months. That's 18% higher than it was in 2022. That rate does not seem to be coming down very much at the moment, unfortunately. Other factors are not helping us either. This is the total solar radiance. That's the amount of sunlight that reaches the Earth, or the energy in the amount of sunlight that reaches the Earth. And you can see it's still continuing to rise quite sharply and significantly above the level of the previous cycle, shown here in orange. So we're getting more energy from the sun than normal. And lastly, not to help things at all, is that each day we're getting closer and closer to the sun. The nearest approach to the sun is in January 2nd of next year. So that's perihelion, and we're well on the slope towards that. So every day we're getting slightly closer to the sun, which again means we're getting more radiation from the sun. So what conclusions can we draw from all of this? We actually have a perfect storm from the point of view of increasing temperatures. We have an El Nino in operation. Carbon dioxide is still rising. We have rising solar activity, and the Earth is getting closer to the sun each day. So all of those are factors that are causing temperatures to rise. At the moment, El Nino is dominating, with carbon dioxide in second place. So that says global temperatures will continue to rise at least until January, probably all the way through until May. And extreme weather as a result will continue to get worse and more frequent. Let's look at some extreme weather examples from the last month. Sydney recorded its hottest October day on record, 35 degrees centigrade, and 2 people actually died of the heat there. Heavy rains caused flash flooding in New York City. Phoenix suffers its driest monsoon season on record. It's the driest September on record in Australia. Wildfires raged in New South Wales, Victoria, and Tasmania. And in India, we're having a heat wave. The phrase was, "Only the rich can survive this heat." We have wildfires in Tenerife. Taiwan recorded its 3rd highest wind gust at 213 miles per hour. There have been floods in Scotland, and several people have needed air rescuing. The cost of doing nothing, estimated by the World Bank, is about $16 million per hour. Super Typhoon Bolivar had winds of over 180 miles per hour. That's quite exceptional. Malawi had a heat wave with temperatures 20 degrees centigrade above average, and it was actually threatening the tea industry there. The Amazon River at its lowest level on record. Storm Babette caused red weather alerts in the UK, killed 3. There are some US birds appearing in Ireland and the UK, which they believe were swept across the Atlantic by some of the strong storms. 60-mile-an-hour winds in the Midwest piled tumbleweeds over the top of houses. Of course, that's a fire hazard. Corals across the Caribbean have been bleached by high ocean temperatures. Cyclone Tej impacts Yemen. Death Valley had major floods. And superfog hits New Orleans, causing 150 cars to crash. So thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe and goodbye.